Good evening, everybody. Mike Vacchi, PrincetonTrader.com, here with your evening recap. Okay, we're looking at a daily chart of the ES, and essentially, Friday, the Bears rather, were able to push. They were able to push, and they were able to close below the middle Bollinger Band. They closed it down at 1685. And what we're seeing tonight is a fairly flat open, but flat to the down. So, in reality, the Bears aren't far away from doing what they would need to do to try to test that 1670 area. That 1670 area is there to be tested. It's essentially the area of the lower Bollinger Band. And that is the big nut that has to be cracked if the Bears are going to achieve a deeper pullback. The Bollinger Bands themselves, as you can see, are very tight. And that tends to lend itself to chopping around the middle band. So if we get an update tomorrow that kind of moves up into that 93 area and you see us kind of flatten out like you do in the summer months, that could really be indicative of kind of a flat trade in a very small channel for the rest of the month of August. I think that some days are going to feel like that, but I think that we will have some kind of overall direction here because, it seems to me that it wants to give the lower band a try. You can make the argument that we have been trading between 1670 and 1705 since back in early July. And that this has all just been one long summer range-bound trade. And if we go down to 1670 in balance, then the people that have been saying that this is just a big channel are going to be proven absolutely correct. So that's just a few of the different things that I see when I look at the daily chart. When I look at the pivots for tomorrow, I see a couple things. You've got double pivots at 1687 half to 1687.92. So in those two ticks there, 87 half to 88, you've got double pivots, the daily and the 3-day. Those tend to be a magnet. And I've got the pivots up from Friday. And since part of what we're supposed to do with this evening webcast is recap what we did in the prior session, let's talk about pivot zones. You've got double pivots at 92. And you got the 3-day pivot up basically 92.83 to the 93 area. We come, here's your open. We fail again at last week's weekly pivot, 1695.30. We fail, okay? We go below the pivot zone. We retest the pivot zone and find resistance and fail. We fail from the pivot zone down into this 82 area, still preserving yesterday, the Thursday low, but still a fairly deep low. But then we start to climb up off the mat. We get back above the bin area. We get back over the lower level. We had made a bias there. We had retested, gave a little head fake lower, but then once we got it back, where was the grind headed? And where was that grind going to stop? Grinded right back up to the pivot level for 10 handles. It failed up in that area. And then we've been selling off ever since. So that's the power of pivot zones. That is the power of pivot zones. And we have a pivot zone. We have double pivots, 87 half to 87.92. And we have the 9-day pivot up at 89.08. So check out the pivots. They're attached to this post. Get those up on your charts and work with those. So really briefly, there's the lay of the land for tomorrow. You've got daily and 3-day right there, 87 half, 87.92. You got the 9-day just above 89. So, and the 20 days down here, 85.25, which is the pre-FOMC announcement level. So the Bears need to keep especially this zone. You really want to keep this zone underneath you but you have to keep this zone underneath you. Got to do it. You lose both of those, you put the bulls back in control. You're talking about areas up above 1690, and you can make a run at 96. Okay? So that's some pivot areas to keep in mind. So when we get that morning dip like we've been getting, don't rule out when you get long to keep a runner on looking for that pivot zone. That was the trade for Friday. Okay, everybody have a fantastic night. Mike Vacchi, PrincetonTrader.com. Please check out our website. Please check out our products, our chat product, our levels product. Get to know us. Follow us on Twitter at Princeton Trader. And we would love to have you. We would love to help you trade. I will catch everybody in the morning with another pre-market webcast. Trade them well, everybody.